This week is about the hustle. So after lots of glitter, excellent, well, that's what I like to hear. Hello, Will Skates backwards. So basically this week's chat is about the hustle. After last week, I spoke about rejection, and it was interesting because like a few things happened during the week that were reminding me to remember what I had said during that conversation. Hey, wax pusher. So a few things that would have really happened that would have really bothered me, but they didn't, because I sort of remembered the things that I had said. And what I'm trying to do is make sure that I apply what I'm saying to myself as well, because it's all very well like giving out, but I think it's really important that you're walking the talk. Do you know what I mean? So this week is about the hustle. I think I got a pretty good work ethic, but it can always be better, can't it? And you can always do better. You can always do it differently as well. So that's what I want to talk about. I'll just talk about the way people work. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, I started last week's talking about talent, and I want to start there again because I think that's important in terms of how it relates to the hustle. So I don't think that people start creative careers with talent necessarily. I think what they start with is a natural aptitude. So say someone's a rapper, or they're a musician, or they're a singer or a writer or something, they might have hi Io. So they might have like a natural aptitude for something. And what's the difference? Well, for me, a natural aptitude is you can sort of pick something up. You can give something a go, and you'll be all right at your first few attempts. Hey everyone that's just joined, I'm seeing a few names popping up. So you're pretty good at your first few attempts. For example, I have a natural aptitude for a few things. Like, I can sort of speak a bit of Spanish. I can sort of play the piano. I can sort of play the oboe. But the problem is, I'm not talented in any of these things. And the reason is because once you get beyond natural aptitude, you have to work to get good at something. So talent, I don't think, is a natural inherent skill that somebody has. Talent comes from working hard at something. So I think where that comes from is you've got to have a passion for the thing as well. Like, say for example with me in Spanish, I didn't really want to learn Spanish. What I wanted is to be good at Spanish. I wanted to leapfrog the whole learning process and just be able to go ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, gracias, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to be able to converse. I didn't have a passion to learn. Passion comes from wanting to go on the journey regardless of how difficult it is. And that is where the hard work comes in. That's why I'll bring this up. So if I'd had a passion for if I'd had a passion for Spanish or for oboe or for piano, I would be willing to put in the hours and days and weeks of practice, months, years that it would take to be able to get good at that. But after about 3 weeks, I'll be like, nah, I'm not enjoying this anymore. It's suddenly gotten difficult, because that's where hard work kicks in. So I wanted to make a distinction between talent and natural aptitude because of what a difference work makes, or hard work makes, to that natural aptitude. It transforms it into your talent. So basically talent equals natural aptitude plus passion and hard work. That's what it is, and that's why I'm talking about hard work today. So what's talent then? After you've done all that hard work, you should, if you have a talent for something, have I've got my notes, that's what I'm looking down at, a repeatable skill. That's how I've heard it described. It's a repeatable skill, but it's also, I think, something that you can do under pressure. That might be under pressure of a timeline or a deadline, or it might be under the pressure of an audience watching you. Because a lot of people say, especially I hear this from comedians, people say, oh, my mate is like the funniest person I know. Like, they're much funnier than most comics on stage. But the thing is, that mate might not be able to reproduce the funnies if they were put, hello Ian, if they were put in front of an audience. I know people, who are like super, super funny, or who you have amazing banter with, but they wouldn't be able to make it in comedy if you just threw them on stage. They've got a natural aptitude for being funny, using that as an example, but if they were put under pressure, they would not be able to reproduce that talent. Reproduce that skill, and that's where talent comes in. So it's being able to work under pressure. It's like, for example, if a writer has a deadline, talent is being able to, hey Carly, hello Ronch 1951 as well, and there was a couple of other names. Let me see if I can say hello to everybody. Hello Anthony, and Lee Taylor, and Zoe, and Dry Lyndon Edwards, and Aussie Dina 63. Hello everyone, nice to see you here. Valid points, thanks IO. So repeatable skills. That's what I was going to say. So for example, a writer, if they're given a writing deadline, hey Zoe, all right? If a writer's given a writing deadline, the talent is being able to produce what they need to produce within that time frame. Because if you give a writer, or if you give them an infinite amount of time to produce their thing, of course, most people will probably get there in the end. That isn't talent. That's natural aptitude plus infinite amounts of time. Talent is, I need that script by tomorrow, or I need, do you know what I mean? I need that extra chapter by the end of the week. That is talent. Being able to work under pressure. So basically, your work ethic plus your passion plus time and hard work basically. That is your talent. So, but as a comedian, you have to be very clever, as you have to have knowledge of most subjects and be quick to respond on stage. You're absolutely right, Hattie. But where do you acquire that? You acquire it by doing the gigs. You put in the hours, which is hard work. So you learn, but the hard work isn't just like mindlessly grafting. It's while you're working hard, you're acquiring all these skills and knowledge about your particular discipline. So Malcolm Gladwell says, I think it was in Outliers maybe, in his book Outliers, he says 10,000 hours is the number of hours that someone would need to put in to get competent at their particular discipline. Now, when I googled 10,000 hours trying to find out what book it was he wrote that in, there was loads of people refuting it, going he's wrong and this is why 10,000 hours is bullshit and blah blah blah. You know how people always find a way to sort of refute sort of something that's been commonly accepted. It might not be 10,000 hours, it might be 5,000 hours, it might be 10,000 hours doing stuff very specifically, but the point is it's a long time. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like a singer suddenly sings a song and that makes them talented. It means they've got a natural aptitude. It means that if they put in the hours, then they will develop a talent. Taylor Swift still has singing lessons. So this idea that people have, are born fully fledged, fully funny, fully musical, fully artistic, that's a lie. Every artist who is succeeding in their given area has gotten there through hard work. And I say that on top of the hard work, you should know where you want to go. Now, the caveat to that is, if you're happy kind of just bumbling along and just trying stuff out, and you're happy to sort of meander and just like zigzag through the discipline and just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're happy with that, then there's no right and wrong. It's not like you must have a goal, otherwise your aspirations are bullshit, or the fact that you don't have any aspirations is bullshit. But most people have something in mind of where they want to get to. They have a dream. And last week I sort of touched on this idea of like chasing the dream. I realized that it wasn't a whole topic. Just as a tangent, I'll say what I wanted to say about that because it's not very long. It was that I think we should re-language the chasing the dream thing, because lots of people talk about chasing the dream, I'm chasing my dream. And I just think that we should find a different language for it, because chasing the dream suggests you're never going to get there. It suggests it's always going to be just outside of arm's length. And it makes you sound like a dreamer, as in ungrounded. I think just say living your dream or something. There must be a better way of languaging it where it sounds achievable, because I don't know that makes me believe somebody is going to get what they're after when they say chasing a dream. And the other thing is, do you think programs like X Factor take away people's expectations of having to put in hours? Ian, I do. I can't. There's a part of me that really loves X Factor, because I love seeing people, and American Idol and all those talent shows, I love seeing people have an opportunity and see their faces light up and loving the journey that they're on. But I just read Blue's autobiography, and it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but what it really highlighted to me is how hard and how much work it takes to make it as a pop star or in the pop music industry. And that hard work crafts you into quite a hardy warrior who can get through everything, every challenge that is sent to you. Everything that they went through made them better and better at their job. That you might not like their music, but they were good at their job. They do a good job. And so the X Factor thing, it just means people sort of just bypass that, and they don't have the battle scars that make them warriors when it comes to working in their industry. And I think people's minds have been addled, because a lot of them come on X Factor going, this is my last chance, I don't know what I'll do if I don't get on, I'll never, this is it, this is my last chance. And they're like 15 or something, and it's like, have you heard of gigging? Have you heard of recording your songs and putting them online? Have you heard of touring? Have you know what I mean? Have you heard of music lessons? Why aren't they have this idea that X Factor is the hard work. Nah, X Factor is cheating. I don't want to deny anybody that opportunity. Go for it if that's the path you feel is right for you, but know that you are missing out on something. Your hard work is going to be a different type of hard work, because I suspect that the hard work hits them after X Factor in a way that they didn't expect. Those PA after PA after PA, tours, and now comes there's no money in my bank account after all of that, because you're in some binding contract, because that's the way X Factor works. And anyways, so do you know what I mean? I agree. I think you're saying that that's what there is, and I think that's true. I think X Factor robs people of something. It's an amazing opportunity, it's an amazing platform, but your integrity is already sort of slightly undermined by the fact that that's basically what the audience are thinking, is you cheated. We like you, but you cheated. Because so Paloma Faith, she was on last night, I think, she has a different standing than Leona Lewis. Doesn't matter who is the better singer of the two of them, who's more popular, Paloma Faith will always have a higher integrity, or people will have a higher perception of her integrity than they will of Leona Lewis, just because of the route she took. She didn't bypass the graft. You know what I mean? I don't know anything about her story. I mean, she might have won some competition in Australia and we don't know anything about it. But yeah, I'm saying, like, X Factor and all those sorts of things, they are bypassing a certain process. And I think the hard work under the radar, hello Christine from Canada, I think the hard work under the radar, and she's more interesting because life's happened to her privately, away from our eyes. And that hard work just makes you more full, I think, as a human. If you've been doing shitty gigs where you've had to lug your own kit, I mean, we're just talking in the realm of, like, music at the moment, but it applies to all artists where, like for comedians, it's driving up and down the motorway doing these gigs and, 5 hours there, 5 hours back, 200 quid, and everyone jokes that comedians only do 20 minutes work, but it's the 10 hours of travelling. No one knows about that when they see people on Michael McIntyre's Roadshow or Live at the Apollo. Don't know that those are the hours that have been put in to get to that point. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's a really good point. What I was going to say is that, setting aside people who are just happy to sort of meander and just see where the discipline takes them, where their art takes them. Most people have a dream. They have something in mind of where they want to get to. But I think you've got to lay down some goals. I think you've got to get grounded and get real about the steps that you're going to take to get there. Denzel Washington said, dreams without goals are just dreams and inevitably only fuel disappointment. And I think he's absolutely right. And I think I've been there where I've not really known where I'm going. And particularly recently, I started seeing a career coach, because I was just thinking, I was doing like lots of different things, and I was thinking, I'm working so hard, I'm doing so much, why aren't I getting somewhere? And he was just like, you're working hard and you're doing too much. That's why you're not getting anywhere. And it was, and so in this process, he basically had me write down what I want, specifics. It involved, what I wanted, it actually involved a property. So I had to look online and find the actual property that I wanted, and how much it's going to cost, and how much was the mortgage, and how much money would I need to earn to be able to pay this more. You know, he got that specific with me. And it's not like that's definitely where I'm going to end up. But the point is at least now there's something to aim for. And because there's something to aim for, I know that doing that is not going to get me there. Whereas before, when I had this sort of scattergun approach, oh, I'll try a bit of this, I'll try a bit of that, I'll make a film, I'll do a vlog, blah, blah, blah. It was dissipating my energy in all kinds of different directions. But then once I had this goal that I'd spoken to the career coach about, and I now know where I want to get to, I know what things are feeding and taking me forward, and I know what things aren't. So I think it's really important to have a goal. And don't do yourself down. Don't make it small just because you have to write it down. Don't get embarrassed of whatever your goal might be. If your goal is an Oscar, write it down. Get that Oscar. If your goal is to hang in the National Portrait Gallery or something, if your goal is to have a book published, write it down. That's the goal. And then look on either side. Look around you. What is it that you're doing? Is it all getting you there, or is it getting in the way? Schopenhauer once said talent is like hitting a target no one else can hit, and the genius is hitting a target no one else can see. What do you think? He once said talent is like hitting a target no one else can hit, and genius is hitting a target no one else can see. I don't know. That is totally doing my brain in. I might have to think about that one. So what else I was going to say was, if you've got a big dream, sometimes a good way, or a big goal, sometimes what is good for making it feel doable is to work backwards from your goal and see what you need to do. So take your ultimate step. Say it is, I don't know, say winning a BAFTA. BAFTA for best editing. So you work back. What's the step before that? Well, you have to edit an amazing show that would be likely to win a BAFTA, I suppose. And then before that, well, you have to sort of be working with production companies that are making it. You know what I mean? Like, you just keep working back, working back until you get to today. What do you need to do today to get to that next step, which was the last one you sort of retro calculated or whatever? And then suddenly you can see a path to your goal, and it doesn't seem so mad. It's like, oh, that's how I win a BAFTA for best editing. I'm saying that because I was with my friend, BAFTA nominated editor Adam Reich, yesterday. But I mean, you know, he's on the right path, and he's really great because he's really intentional. He doesn't really veer from his goal at all. And I don't know that, you know, BAFTA is necessarily his goal, but like, he's really good at staying on track, editing, and he says no to certain things that won't get him that sort of prestige job, and he says yes to the things that he feels like will take him to that next thing. He's got a totally different attitude than I have. What about law of attraction, intending? Yes, Carly, I think yes, and I think that that probably goes hand in hand with the setting the goal, because I was under this bizarre notion that if I set a goal, then I could just sit back and just let the house roll towards me down the hill. But actually, intention is what gets you there, because intention has you start to think, right, well, what do I need to do to get there? You are not a passive passenger in this journey called your life. You know, you've got to have some intent and take action that is gonna, put you on the path to get the thing that you want. This is what happened. I had several tarot card readings, and whether you believe in that stuff or not, it works for me. And you know, many times I've been told, okay, these are the things that are going to happen to you. So I was just like, great, bring it. And then the next time I see them, they were like, yeah, these things are definitely going to happen to you. I'm like, great, bring it. And then the next time I'd have a reading, she's like, these things are going to happen to you. So I was like, so where is it? And it wasn't until I saw my coach, and he was like, well, what are you doing to get these things? And I was just like, nothing. So intention is everything. You got to intend these things into existence. But I think also on top of that, you got to intend it with a freedom that your life doesn't depend on it. So you're not holding on to it. Because I think the more you are able to let go of the goal, sounds counterintuitive, but the more you're able to let go of the goal, the more there's more space for it to come to you. Because anything I've held on to like that, like literally, I must have this thing, otherwise my life isn't worth living, or I quit, or whatever, it never works out. There's got to be a looseness and an ease with which you hold these intents and goals, otherwise ain't gonna happen. So talking specifics, thank you for dropping that in, Carly, because that was a really good point. Actually, I hadn't thought of that, but now you said it, you got my mind thinking in that way. Because when I had that conversation, like with my coach, I was just like, it literally was like a proper light. I think there was an actual light bulb above my head, because I was just like, it's so obvious, but don't. So the next thing I want to talk about is working for free, because I think this is an important part of the hustle, and I'm bemused sometimes and amused by sometimes you see conversations on Facebook or whatever, because obviously I've got a lot of friends who are artists and performers and things like that, and you see these conversations about how all artists should be paid and nobody should be working for free and rare, and I think you can tell by the way I'm saying that I don't necessarily agree. Here's the thing. There are and I said this last week with the rejection conversation, there's more artists than there are seats at the table. So sometimes people are going to end up working for free. The key to it is not working for free all the time, but being judicious about it and picking those times when you feel that for you it makes sense. So this whole internship thing, yeah, of course interns should be paid, because especially if they start sneaking them, trying to get them to do work that actually is normally done by a paid member of staff. But the types of things I'm talking about, so let me talk about stand-up as an example, because obviously that's the world I know best. When you start doing stand-up, you often do gigs for free. Why, you might say? Well, experience, and you might be shit. So why should someone give you some money? Do you know what I mean? I did about sort of 4 or 5 months of doing gigs for free. And then every now and again, someone would drop me like 20 quid, 30 quid, 50 quid, and it would slowly start going up. And I thought, great, I'm actually starting to make some money at this. But even till today, there's always going to be a possibility of doing a gig for free, but the reasons change. So it's not like you should have this cut off. I never work for free. There's reasons. Again, using stand-up as an example, sometimes there's a charity gig and they're like, sorry, there's no money, but it is for a great cause, and it means that all the door receipts can go towards the charity. Who's going to ask for money then? That's a freebie. Somebody might be making a passion project film and they want you to be an actor in it, and you're like, I want something for my show reel. Then it's worth doing the freebie. Or you're just doing somebody a favour. Dude, I'm shooting a labour of love film. Could you come and be our on-set photographer? You can always say no. You might write a script speculatively. That's a lot of hours for free, but that might get you an agent. So this idea that, artists should be paid for every single thing they do is a lie. But there are situations where artists absolutely should be paid. Like, I think with music and copyright and things like that, I think sometimes people take the piss. Especially big companies. If it's a big company, like a big studio or a production company or something like that, and they're trying to get some freebie out of some self-employed artist, now that's when I would draw the line. But if look, at the end of the day, the way I see it is, if the person who's asking for the freebie, if you feel like they're going to make a ton of money off the project that they're creating, and they're going to use your stuff to do it, or they're going to use your work to do it, then got to show some love. Do you know what I mean? Like, for Amber, the film that I just made, a very wonderful guy created an original song for the film. And he sent me a music union contract to sign for it. And I was like, oh, what the fuck is this? I was just like, oh man, like, and then I read it and it said something like, you know, we can use the song for 5 years, or if we sell the film, then you know, then we would have to have another conversation about reimbursing him or whatever for the song. And I just thought, you know what, good for you, and fair enough, because if we're selling the film, we're making money off the film, and if we're making money off the film, then why isn't his contribution making money off the film? You know what I mean? So I think there's times when I think you have to be judicious about it. Basically, I wrote a whole blog about working for free, because I feel really strongly about this. I've done so many things for free, and I don't begrudge. Well, maybe about 5% of it I've begrudged, because it just but that was more to do with the way people asked it. Like when people expect it, I'm not down with that. But when they appreciate and acknowledge the fact that they're asking for something for free, then you know I'm happy to help, or I'm happy to jump in, or see if there's some reciprocal or in-kind arrangement that you can come to. But when people are just like, oh, sorry, no money, and you have to do it, then it's like, nah, don't have to do it. You just have to use your own judicious decision making or whatever to figure out whether it's the right thing for you. The other thing is if you're not working, then why not get involved in another project for free? Like a friend of mine had decided for a short film, and he asked me to direct it. I never expected money, but I wanted the directing experience, and I wanted to help him out, and it sounded like a fun project. And it's like, otherwise, what else am I doing otherwise? When I started doing stand-up, I noticed that I was always writing during the day, or doing something, or trying to get some hustle going during the day, and then doing my gigs in the evening. But there were a lot of people that weren't doing that, and I labelled them in my mind PlayStation comics. There is a little bit of judgment in that, but obviously they're entitled to do whatever they want. But I just felt like, where's your hustle game? You know, where is your... Why are you sitting on your ass? You've got the entire day to yourself and you're playing PlayStation. Get out there and make something happen for yourself. That's just my attitude, and I just think you've got you have all access to all this time. Why not make the most of it? So basically, it's that old adage, like, if either you're waiting or you're creating. So why not create? If this is a passion of yours, then get out there and create. I mean, look, if you're, for example, using comedy as that example again, if you're content with just what you're getting, then obviously you don't need to do anything else. But if you want more, then why don't you think that you need to put more in? Why don't you think... are you clocking up these 10,000 hours? You know what I mean? Anyway, that's just me. Sneeze. Coming. Ew. Bless me. Ew. All right. So another thing, there's a couple of sort of just practical things that I think are really important for the hustle. Networking and social media. So networking, let's talk. I hate networking, and have done always, and with a passion, until someone pointed out something about it, which is that, thank you, that networking is just getting to know somebody. And as soon as I started seeing it like that, it just became so much easier. I think that sometimes, especially when people are in an environment where there are maybe game changers, decision makers in the room or whatever, that they panic and think that they have to turn this moment into some sort of work or something like that. You don't. All you have to do is make a connection with somebody, even if it's, hello, I'm such and such. And also, we have this idea that we've got to get to the highest person in the room. Say you're in a room with, I don't know, say it's like a load of actors and Steven Spielberg's in the room. I bet you everyone will be crowding around him. But guess what? If Steven Spielberg's in the room, probably his casting director is in the room, probably his lawyer is in the room, probably his head of production is in the room, but nobody knows what that person looks like, so they ignore them, and they're instead thinking, I've got to get Steven Spielberg. But you don't. Meet other people, and instead of thinking what can they do for you, think what you can offer them. Be of service. Someone sent me a message on Instagram recently, something along the lines of, he said, I can't remember how I think he might have seen a trailer for Amber or something. He just said, listen, I just wanted to reach out and say I really enjoyed the trailer, and I wanted to let you know that this is a little bit about me, and if I can be of any assistance to you in anything you're doing, then please let me know. I mean, what an amazing message. So instead of like trying to see what he can get from me, he's offering something to me, and it made him stick in my mind to the point where I'm mentioning him here. So rather than thinking, Steven Spielberg, give me a job, how can I be of service to that guy? Or how can I, let me just meet some of the other interesting people that are probably in this room, and, that I can have a conversation with and see where that goes. Now, Issa Rae said recently, network laterally. I think this is some of the best advice I have ever heard. Because, again, we're all thinking, using, the actor field as an example, get to Steven Spielberg. The old joke that we all have, all actors have with their agent is like, I'm going on holiday unless Steven Spielberg calls. We always say that to our agents, but it's not always about Steven Spielberg. Like, find out what your friends are doing. Find out what they're wanting to get involved with. See if you can be of service to them. See if they can get involved in your projects. You share the same passions. Find out who the other people in the room are if you're in that sort of networking environment. Don't always fixate on trying to get to the top of the tree. I always think it's funny when I go to like Q&As and stuff like that, especially if there's like big producers who are on the panel. Afterwards, the stage just gets rushed and everyone's thinking, I don't know what they're thinking. And I never do it because I'm just thinking, what are you expecting? You thrust your card in that person's hand, and what do you want them to do for you? They've never met you, and this whole industry, like we were talking about Hollywood here, is based on relationships. So how do you think you're gonna? It's like going up to a girl, or a guy going up to a girl and just going, listen, I know you don't know me, but I think we should go out. I think we should get married. Basically, that's essentially what those people are doing, but on a sort of career level. Maybe there's another avenue. You can approach that person through a lower level, somebody who's closer to you in stature. Maybe that's a better way of getting access to that person. Network laterally. Work with your friends. I had an epiphany one time when I was looking at Judd Apatow and just thinking, he seems to have so much fun at work. And I realised that he's working with the same people every time. He's working with his mates, basically. And that's why he's having so much fun at work. And those people are going to be the ones that are going to be passionate about the same things as you. Your friends. Take them on the journey with you. How amazing would that be to be able to work with your friends in that capacity rather than thinking, oh my God, I'm working with Steven Spielberg. Just keep name checking Steven Spielberg. But do you know what I mean? Like, instead of having that relationship with your co-worker of like, oh my God, it's Robin Wright, random. You can be like, oh my God, I'm working with like some of my best friends. Those are the best times I've had, is when I'm working with good mates rather than, you know what I mean, trying to, how can I get to that? So networking. Also, another thing about networking, sometimes, I'm going to use acting as an example, but I think it applies across the board to all the different disciplines, is sometimes people try to approach everybody. So with acting, sometimes actors will do a whole mail out to every, I've done it myself, done mail outs to every casting. You just basically go through the Spotlight book or whatever book it is, Contacts or whatever it is, and you write to every single casting director. Now, I'm not saying don't do that, but someone pointed out to me that maybe, just maybe, the trick is not to write to every single casting director, but the trick is to make a fan of a few. So make a few fans of you. Get to know them. Turn up at the talks and events that they do, and you start to become a face that they recognise. Hang on, I know you. And then you can start to give them headshots and CVs, or like if you ring them up, they might be receptive to your call because they've seen you around so many times. And now it isn't like, please marry me. Now it's like, hey, we should go out sometime. You know, it will have that kind of sort of tone to it, rather than this urgent, desperate thing where you've approached them once and then suddenly you feel like you've got the right to sort of, you know what I mean, like get so much from them. Make fans of just a few people. You only, look, at the end of the day, in your industry, you only need one fan. You only need one person to go, I'm going to give that fucker a try. They were good. That's all it takes. Maybe you end up doing that by doing the scattergun thing, but I'm just saying, like, bear that in mind. It doesn't always have to be that way, that you have to sort of scattergun the whole thing. Sometimes it just takes a oneer. Do you know what I mean? Like one person. Social media. I think it's a really funny thing. Like a few actors and artists actually generally have, like, asked me about social media. There's no right way. There's no right or wrong way of doing it, for definite. And I'm sure that there are some people who have rules about how artists should do social media. You must be on Twitter. You must be on Instagram. You must blah, 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 blah. I would say, yes, have a presence on those things, or one of them at least. Probably Twitter, I suppose, is probably the best one. I think that's probably the one that most people use, and have a public Facebook page. But at the end of the day, maintaining and constantly posting and running a nice social media sort of strategy for yourself, only do it if it is your passion, because otherwise it's hard work and soul destroying, because you're not going to get the numbers. The only place that your numbers come from is when you've done something that makes you popular. And unless you're going to become an Instagram star and put the graft in to become an Instagram star, or to put the graft in to become a YouTuber, or what Vine, but obviously that doesn't exist anymore, say Snapchat or whatever. Unless you're going to put the work in to do that, then you're not going to get the numbers. So you're not going to get any traction that's going to make people look at you because of the numbers. So use it instead as a means of communication. So you can hit up, that gallery, that photography exhibition, that casting director, that producer, that, publishing house, whatever it is. So you've got a presence there, but don't feel like you've got to be Stephen Fry, because Stephen Fry's got, 3 million followers or something. And if you've got 100, no one's retweeting you. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying in a malicious way sort of thing. I'm just saying, like, just get real about it. Use it as a mode of communication. If you're not feeling like turning into like a whole sort of little industry in its own right, because it really is. It takes a lot of work to generate the followership and your content providers, basically. If you're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, you're essentially content providers. If you want to do that, then do it because you enjoy it. But I don't think it's necessary, especially at a fledgling stage. Even for myself, like on Twitter. And also, don't forget, this is another thing about like places like Twitter, is just because you've got 100,000 followers, 10,000, if that, probably not even that, probably 2,500 of those will ever see one of your posts. So never think that just because you've got the numbers that loads, and of that, maybe 200 will like it. So and look how much work you would have had to have done to get to 100,000 followers. Especially if you've had no TV or no exposure or anything like that, you would have really had to graft. So use it as a tool rather than as it's a communication tool, a networking tool, rather than as like something that you've got to maintain, unless you really, really want to. But like I say, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. Hello, people who have just joined. Dorcas, more 4690, Pep, Roo, can't say it. Simon, hello. So just home straight now. Home straight. Yo. So the other thing I want to say about hard work, or just work in general towards your talent, is is that all work is preparation. It doesn't necessarily follow that the work you're doing is going to be the work, is going to generate the work that you want. But all work is preparation for that moment when that opportunity comes. Because luck is opportunity meets preparation. There's been many times where I've gotten opportunities where I'm like, it feels like it's come left field. But the good thing is, because I've been doing my preparation, I've been ready. So, for example, the first time I did Mock the Week, I had already been doing stand-up for about 3 years, which isn't very long, but it's long enough that I had the right material, I had, timing, I had, do you know what I mean? I'd acquired skills and talent, let's say, in that field, to be able to be able to have a good mock the week. I had a good first show. If I had just been some chancer who's just gone, yeah, I'll give stand up a go, and then the opportunity had come to do mock the week, I would have tanked hard. So the gigs that I was doing weren't formatted like mock the week. They weren't the same length as mock the week. I didn't have 6 blokes either side of me shouting over the top of me. So in some ways that wasn't preparation, but in many ways it was, and that's why I was able to have a good mock the week. So everything you're doing, even though it might not directly lead to the thing that you want, it is all preparation, because what you don't want to do is have that opportunity come along and you're not ready, you're not prepared. I remember hearing a story about this guy who had this actor who had this opportunity to have a really great meeting with a high level exec at a studio, but the problem was he didn't prepare for the meeting, and so he blew it. He literally blew it. He didn't really know how to pitch. He didn't have any ideas. He just sort of, I don't know, he just blew this like golden opportunity. And how many times do you get to be in the room as an actor, particularly in front of these people? So he wasted that opportunity. So all the work you're doing is also preparation for those opportunities when they do drop into your life. And they do. And I think it's like what Carly was saying earlier. It's just that probably that preparation is in some implicit way suggesting intent. I have an intent to be ready for this thing when it comes. And therefore it's like almost like an invitation to the universe to say, bring it. I'm ready. I'm ready. Because it's like when with YouTubers, like that. For example, I'm not down on YouTubers or anything, because I think it's a skill in its own right, but they're not ready for acting roles necessarily. And this often happens is because they've got like 1 million subscribers on their channel, they feel a bit sort of cocky about, why should I? I don't have to. Why should I have to like take acting lessons? So you put them in a film and they are shit because they're not prepared. An opportunity came along and they're not prepared. Probably this film will sell well because they've got, a million subscribers. But the point is, if you want to do a good job in that field, you have to get prepared. You have to do your classes. You have to, do you know what I mean? You have to have experience. So be prepared. This is something that came up one time. That I thought was quite interesting. This bit of hair is really bugging me. I'm going to brush it down because it is doing my noodling. Sorry, I have to stop and just preen for a moment. Someone said to me once, they were sort of, they'd had enough of LA and they were like, I've done everything I can. I've done everything I can to make this career work. They were an actor, and she was saying, I've done everything I can. And I had to say to her, no, you didn't. You did everything you were prepared to do, but you haven't done everything you can, because the fact is, at the end of the day, however much you're doing, there is always someone who is willing to do more. And that's the thing. You have to own how much you're willing to do and know that you've done as much as you're willing to do, but there's always someone working harder. So just get to a level where of hard work where you're like, this works for me. I know there's more I could do. I know there's people doing less, but do what works for you. And I think that means that instead of working super, super hard, actually, I think what that means is you have to work smart. You have to find a way of doing all the things that you feel you need to get done without killing yourself. Because I don't think the key is necessarily working harder, wringing yourself out. I think the key is working smart. And that comes from having the goal and knowing where you want to get to, because then there's certain things that don't need to be done anymore. Those things aren't important. Like after I had that conversation with my coach, I was able to start resisting the temptation to just start just randomly doing things, because that's what I do. I just go, ooh, that would be fun, and then the next thing I know, I'm making a film, or I'm writing a vlog, or I'm just, I don't know, just, do you know what I mean? Like I just keep starting these random things that weren't in any way making that contribution of me getting to that goal. So I think that's a very important thing, is to learn to work smart. And so I didn't come up with these 3 R's. It's just another 3 R's again, like showed up. Rest. Just got to remember to rest. And that's something I really struggle with, but I really make a point now of just looking in my working week and just scratching out one day in the diary, at least one day a week, and just going, that is no work, no thinking about work, just chill. I might even just stay home, not even see people, just chill. Reward. Give yourself a treat. Oh my God, give yourself a treat. When you've achieved something, when something's gone your way, when you've just had a stroke of luck, when you're feeling a bit pissed off about it all, give yourself a reward. And then recreation, have fun. Like, not fun, work-based, work-related fun, because I know, like, I'm assuming people are here and are artists because they enjoy it and they, you know, they get a lot out of it, but still need time away from it. Do you know what I mean? There's always, it's always going to be there. You're always going to be able to come back to it. So God, just give yourself a bit of R&R. Again, this is something that I'm really having to sort of train myself to do, because I'm like, I love writing. I could just do it all day. And the next thing I know, I'm crying. Not because I'm not enjoying it, because I just haven't taken a break and I've got no distance or point of reference from it. So just give yourself a bit of recreation. Last couple of things. Trust your gut. Apparently, there's brain cells in the gut. I saw a thing the other day that said that the Aboriginals, is that the appropriate term? Are we saying Native Australians yet? Anyways, I want to say the right term, but anyways, that they believe there are 3 brains: the gut, the heart, and the head. And inside, they vary in size in that order. So the biggest brain is the gut, and the heart, and then the head. And they said that the reason Westerners are so confused is because we're trying to navigate the world with our tiny brain when we should be using our big brain in our gut. I think they're absolutely right. I think with all of this, you've got to trust your gut instinct, navigate from there, and you can't go wrong. Listen to your intuition and know when it's enough. Know when you should be doing more. Know when you've got to seek advice. Know when you've got to know when you've got to seek advice. Know when you've got to thank you for the advice, but trust your own, you know what I mean? Trust your own judgment. Know when it's time to stop. Know when it's time to double down. All those things are going to come from gut instinct. Let other people make a contribution to you. Don't be closed to that. But always, I think your heart, and probably, I don't know, fed maybe by your gut, I think your heart is a compass. And I think it is constantly set to your true north, and by listening to your gut and your heart, you can never steer yourself wrong. The trick is to always be able to distinguish the noise of your brain, which serves a totally different function, to the quiet resonance that your heart has, that compass just constantly swinging to your true north. Always listen to it. And finally, remember that advice is a tool, not a rule. I wrote that the other day and I was so pleased with myself, but it's a tool, not a rule. Don't let other people tell you what to do if you feel you know in your gut what the right thing is for you to do, even if it seems crazy and weird. Sometimes decisions of the heart and the gut do feel a bit crazy and weird and left field and don't quite make sense, because you're thinking laterally. That's what they have you do, whereas the brain is all logical, linear. Yum, 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 yum. Do this, then this, and this, and this, and don't do this if it causes danger. You know, whereas your gut is just like, requires bravery, as that's such a different way to navigate and can look like you're steering wrong when you aren't. Exactly. It requires bravery to trust the heart and the gut, and know that despite the fact that other people might be saying differently, you know that this makes total sense. That's it. That's all I have to say this week. I've really enjoyed putting some thoughts together for this talk. I hope that it was useful to you, and that it feeds your... Cheers, mate. I hope it feeds your working week, because I want to do them on Sunday night, so it sets us up for the working week ahead. So next week, I thought that I might talk about criticism, notes, other people's influence and stuff like that, because I got some notes this week and I have this default response to notes. It's like, this is too much, and you're wrong, and you know, or whatever my default noises are. And so I thought that would be a good topic to talk about. And then in the week leading up to Christmas, I think it's Christmas Eve, but I'll do it the day before, probably on the Saturday. I want to talk about magic, because Christmas is magical. So I want to talk about the magic in being creative. That's what I want to end the year talking about. So so I hope you enjoyed this. As I say, it will be on my story for another 24 hours, and I'll also pop it onto onto YouTube afterwards, so it'll be there forever. If you want to see the last one where I talked about rejection, that's already on my YouTube channel. And if you want to read that blog that I wrote about working for free, that one is on my it's on my blog, which you can access through my website andiosho.co.uk, or if you just literally Google working for free or why artists work for free and then my surname, it should come up. Yes, no, I think the magic one's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to putting that together. So listen, guys, I'm going to sign off, but thank you so much for being here, and let me know next time how your weeks go. I hope you have a fantastic week, and it's just full of inspiration, and you find ways to work smart and get everything you want and have your dreams bubble up in your life as things. Good things. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Bye.